I'm Wes.
And that's Nathan.
I'm Nathan. Let's go. Okay, a little bit of history. The first intercollegiate athletic event was a crew race between Harvard and Yale, and that was in New Hampshire. And that was in 1852. The reason it was in New Hampshire is because the railroad system that sponsored it, they wanted everybody to ride their trains to the event, so they had to make it in a off-site location so that everybody would take the trains.
So they make money.
Yeah, so that they would make money, and it was good. It was a good start to sponsorship. These contests, the beginnings, were organized just by students, and like the students from different schools like collaborated with the other students, and they set these events up. And they didn't have any coaches or athletic administrators, so it was just getting off the ground, and like people weren't really getting that into it yet. And with this like sponsorship deal from the railroad, people began to see like the money and how like things could start changing if they used money to influence the sports.
So once money came in, the pressure to win increased because there was something on the line. And so, winning brings publicity, obviously, to the universities, which increased like applications and also alumni donations to the schools. So they were making a lot of money off it, kind of around the turn of the century. But before that, in 1876, the Intercollegiate Football Association was created, and it was basically to create playing eligibility rules. So it's kind of like an early version of the NCAA. And Princeton University was actually the first college to form an athletics committee, and it's for football. So they were kind of the pioneers of regulating it within a university themselves.
Okay, so for women, their first athletic event was UC Berkeley versus Stanford in 1896. I believe that was a basketball game. Then there were the Carnegie Reports of 1929, and that pretty much like straight out told everybody about the academic and recruiting abuses that certain schools had because there were no regulations. So the schools like tended to like give incentives for people to come, and like at that point it wasn't really, people didn't think it was that fair. And then in 1989 they had the Knight Commission, and that was used to reform the agenda for intercollegiate athletics, and which wanted the kids to focus more on school as opposed to just going to college for playing sports. And also they established the Association for Intercollegiate Athletics for Women, which is the AIAW, in 1971, and that endorsed an athletic model for women that emphasizes the educational values of going to college rather than just the commercial value of sports and women's college sports.
Yeah, so today the format is pretty simple, from the surface, but then it's kind of more complicated once you get into it more. The NCAA obviously is the primary body for college athletics. There's also the NAIA, which is kind of a smaller version and deals with more smaller schools. But there are about 1,200 institutions that are involved, that are under the NCAA. That's in 3 divisions, 1, 2, and 3. Division 1, big schools like OU. Division 3 would be like Marietta College, a lot of smaller schools. And their official mission is to maintain intercollegiate athletics as an integral part of the educational program. So they're kind of seeing it as like a supplement to college rather than the main reason college exists, which is probably good. And their national office, like I said, it's pretty easy to describe from the outside, but once you get into it more, it's pretty big bureaucracy. It's divided into many departments that vote on proposed legislation, so they do have like a president and kind of like committees that will set up new rules as problems come up. And they legislate and they govern, basically, so a lot of schools have to answer to them, or all schools that are affiliated have to answer to them. And also there are conferences. So conference, for example, would be the MAC, the Mid-American Conference. And I think the official number is 6. You have to have 6 schools to form a conference in the same division, so D1, for example. And the benefits of being in a conference, there's a lot of them, of course, but the ones, as far as the NCAA is concerned, there's a conference's own compliance director, so there's more localized attention as far as like doing things the right way, so it's not just someone distant looking at how the school's running things. Conferences try and better regulate the rules and regulations of the NCAA, keep things more organized. also, there's a lot of monetary benefits from being at a conference, such as cash flow from like TV contracts. For instance, football is hundreds of millions of dollars. It's split among the schools that are, for instance, in the SEC.
It goes to scholarships for the athletes.
Right. So more reasons for, I guess, realignment. Now you're seeing a lot of that in Division I athletics. Conferences are kind of shifting, and that's really done today because of TV contracts and money. Also, there's obviously more potential for more revenue in a new conference if that new conference is more prestigious or just better overall for sports, better respected. It's also easier to schedule games against higher quality opponents. And a lot of conferences these days, like the Big Ten, the SEC, ACC, they'll hold a conference championship game or a tournament. Like for basketball, it's a tournament. For like the SEC, it's one game. And so that in itself makes a lot of money. So a lot of these reasons are just money based. Okay, modern problems today. There's a lot of different ones, but the two biggest ones that we saw were Title IX. Of course, you guys probably already know about that. Basically, it's a federal law that was passed a while ago in the 70s, and it prohibits sex discrimination in any educational activity receiving federal funding. So at first, it wasn't really made for sports, but it kind of has become that because, for instance, if you have a football team that has 100 guys on the roster, and then you have a women's soccer team that has 25, that's a large disparity between the number of guy and girl athletes, or male and female. So college athletic departments have actually been prosecuted for funding males more than females, which is the problem. They're saying that it's not equal between the two sexes. So Title IX has caused the elimination of many male sports in order to balance the number of male and female athletes and also the amount of funding too. So for instance, the OU men's track team was cut in like 2006, 2007 because there were too many male athletes here and not enough female athletes. And also amateurism, which is a really big deal now, especially as football and basketball at the NCAA Division I level are becoming like really, really enhanced and really, really intense, and there's a lot of money involved. Basically, the debate is, should athletics be funded the way they are, or should schools focus more on the academic side of things? Because obviously there's a lot of money being spent and made on big-time athletics. So there's also the debate of whether or not the athletes should be paid, whether or not just being in school and getting a scholarship is enough compensation, because they are making like hundreds of millions of dollars for the conference and for their school. Some other questions. Also, a lot of schools lose money on sports, especially sports like soccer, baseball, golf, women's swimming, diving, men's diving, that kind of thing. They're not big money makers, so the argument is, should states, especially public universities, be giving millions of dollars to fund these programs when we're in a recession, or we were, and all this money's being cut from universities. So basically, the larger issue is, do we prioritize academics or athletics? And that's a big thing today. Athletics. Okay. My career implications, I guess, from reading this. I really like college athletics. I think it's really fun to watch. I think it's pretty intense, which is awesome. But we should be concerned with like how things are becoming. For instance, tons of money is being spent on athletics, and I'm not sure whether or not that's right or wrong, but it does affect a lot of academic and I guess the overall reputation of universities. And I'd like to work in college athletics. I think being an athletic director would be sweet, or managing a staff or something. I think it's a cool area to be in.
My career implications, I really like college athletics as well. I feel like that the athletes in college actually they're playing for more the right reason. They're playing for like their team and their school, as opposed to like all the professional athletes who are playing for money and maybe to get a bigger paycheck. But in order to get a job in college athletics, you have to have a good background. You have to have a great educational background. And when you're interviewed, many of the places where you would apply, they prefer coaching experience. And in order to have a job on the staff at any college, it requires like hard work and persistence, and you have to work your way up. You can't just start at the top, or you can't like spend time at a little job one day and expect to be like general manager or like athletic director the next day. And me, I would like to be an athletic director. I think if I were working with collegiate sports, I think that would be a great job, because you work with all the sports sports at the school that you're at, and you're the reason for their success. Like, you hire the coaches and